The second point is an inability to generate power in your push. Ever wonder why you lose these push exchanges? It's because of footwork. Watch my right foot, it's constantly adjusting to find the optimal contact point. For every ball, I adjust, make contact, and then recover. Adjust, recover. But many people are like this. This problem is even more apparent on service returns, because side spin serves are naturally unpredictable. When it lands, it will kick to one side or the other, that's the nature of side spin. But if your feet are static, you will make many errors when returning serve. See? Another error. The first ball was to my left. Without footwork, I stretched and made late contact. The second ball was short. Heavy underspin balls don't travel far, making it hard to apply force, so I was off balance and couldn't reach it. Therefore, to make your push more consistent, your right foot must always be active. When the ball comes, whether receiving or in a rally, you must constantly adjust your position. This applies to service returns as well. Adjust to the ball, then recover. Simply put, even if the ball comes to your ready position, your right foot must still make a small step in. That's how you generate force. If you just wait in one spot, any opponent with decent touch will make you push into the net. A serve naturally curves and drifts after the bounce. If you wait for it, you'll make contact too late and won't be able to brush the ball properly, causing you to eat the spin. When you eat the spin, the ball goes into the net. So, for a left side spin, move your left foot. For a right side spin, move your right foot. Even for a central ball, step in slightly with your right foot to engage. Use your feet to find the ball's position. The earlier you make contact, the better your chance of brushing it correctly. If you only make contact at the very end of your stroke, you cannot counteract the spin and will always be affected by it. So, when returning a long serve, first, you need a brushing motion. Second, you must use small steps with either the right or left foot. You must adjust with your feet based on the serve's placement. If it's a little short, you have to step in. Table tennis is 70% footwork and 30% handwork. The key is for your feet to create the optimal hitting environment for your hands. This environment is crucial. By creating a more comfortable hitting position, you will drastically reduce your unforced errors. For long returns, the first rule is to use a compact, explosive brushing motion. Second, you must use your feet to create a good hitting environment. Third, the principle of pushing is absorb when their spin is strong, and attack when it's weak. With that in mind, whether pushing short or long, don't grip the racket too tightly or force the shot. For example, against a heavy spin short serve, don't try to force it, or you'll misread the spin. So, when their spin is heavy, use a smooth, even-paced motion to ensure the ball gets on the table. If the serve has less spin, for instance, if their wrist isn't snappy, you must immediately engage your fingers and wrist to generate your own spin. In matches, if I see my opponent serve with heavy spin, I always use a smooth, controlled stroke to manage the height. The goal is to first return the ball low, sending their heavy spin right back at them. This puts them in a difficult position, unable to loop effectively. They serve heavy underspin wanting you to make a mistake by adding more spin. By returning their spin back, you disrupt their plan. If they manage a weak loop, I can then counter with a quick push to a wide angle. However, if their serving motion indicates they're preparing for a powerful follow-up attack, you have to recognize that. For instance, against a player serving heavy underspin, you need to be patient and control the return. But if they serve a no-spin or low-spin ball, you must use that snappy racket head speed we discussed to attack first and break their rhythm. This prevents them from launching their own attack. For example, if you serve a very spinny ball, I'll use a smoother motion to send that spin back. If the serve isn't very spinny, I should push it at a steady pace. Otherwise, I need to accelerate, since that spinny serve is meant to attack. Often, skilled players will start by serving heavy spin. You might remember your coach saying to grip the racket, use the racket tip, and apply pressure with your fingers. If you try this in a match and miss 2 or 3 returns, the opponent will then switch to serving half-long, no-spin balls. They deceive you into thinking the serve is heavy, so when you miss, you lose confidence. A few quick attacks later, and you're completely lost. I use this tactic too. I'll start with heavy spin serves to make my opponent doubt their push and change their technique. Once they start pushing passively and softly, I'll switch to no-spin or topspin serves. Their soft touch will pop the ball up, creating an easy attack for me. This is why you must learn to read your opponent. A key reason for the gap between practice and matches is that you stop watching the opponent and only focus on your own technique. Lowering your stance, fixing your racket angle, completing your stroke. When the opponent's ball is spinny, you try to force an attack. When it's not spinny, you try to play a slow, high-spin loop. Your technique might be perfect for a specific situation, but if you apply it to the wrong ball, your entire strategy is flawed. The same logic applies to pushing. When the opponent's serve is very spinny, you must use a smooth, even-paced push. When the spin is weak, you must accelerate through the ball. This will instantly disrupt their rhythm, allowing you to take the initiative and making them doubt themselves. Matches are often a battle of confidence. A smooth, even pace doesn't mean just blocking the ball. It means executing the full stroke from start to finish without a sudden grip squeeze, focusing on controlling the arc. Acceleration means applying a distinct, sharp burst of power at the moment of contact. Okay, let me teach you the smooth, even-paced push, since we all focus too much on the accelerating push. For this push, hold the racket with about 50% grip pressure. Notice how my stroke has no acceleration from start to finish. Don't let your grip get too loose, which causes the ball to pop up, or too tight, which sends it long. I use about 50% grip pressure, because I demand a high level of sensitivity from my hand. I believe that only by being delicate can I handle the ball with delicacy. Hold the racket with 50 to 60% pressure and maintain a constant speed throughout the entire stroke. This isn't a simple block. There is still friction on the ball. However, this friction requires no acceleration, no sudden squeezing of the grip, and no finger power on impact. Maintain that 50 to 60% grip, complete the full motion, and focus on controlling the trajectory. If you can do that, you've succeeded. So, within the system of service returns, your racket must always do this. Let me demonstrate. The feeling in your hand, whether you're looping or pushing, must always be to first absorb the ball and then project it forward. This applies to all service returns. Because you're dealing with spin, if you try to hit it head-on, the ball will go out of bounds even if you used your bare hand. I feel that all high-level players share a common trait. When the ball comes to them, they handle it like a Tai Chi master. They first absorb and redirect the energy of your attack, and then unleash a powerful counterstrike. That, to me, is the essence of service return. It's definitely not like boxing, where you just trade blows. That won't work, because you're dealing with spin. Against a no-spin ball, trading shots is fine. You can counter-drive on the backhand or forehand without issue because it's a flat ball. But this approach fails against a spinny ball. Therefore, your initial touch on a service return must be relatively soft. How do you achieve that softness? Don't grip the racket too tightly, and avoid any sudden, explosive force. Get close to the ball. When you have space, you can generate power. When you're cramped, you must cushion the ball. Third, you must apply friction. Applying friction is cushioning. For example, if I'm looping a deep backhand serve, it's easy to feel uncertain. If the score is 9-9, I tell my students, forget everything else and just get the return on the table. Get closer, use a softer touch, and just use your wrist. So, when you're uncertain about a shot like this, what do? Get closer to the ball, don't swing your whole arm. Use just your fingers and wrist to brush it. This motion is a good model for amateur players. Going for an all-out winner is never your first option. Only when all else fails is it time for a high-risk shot. It's the last resort when you have no other choice. When you have options, start by keeping the return on the table, then try changing placement, adding spin, increasing speed, and finally going all out. You have to try to attack at some point, but an all-out gamble is never the first choice. A major problem we see is the failure to differentiate between a third ball attack loop and a service return loop. These are two different technical systems, yet we often execute them identically. This is why you sometimes miss your third ball attack and also miss your service return loop. They are not the same. The rhythm, required space, stroke size, and brushing direction are all different. An underspin ball from a push and an underspin ball from a serve may seem the same, but their trajectory, second bounce speed, and properties of length, depth, and height are all completely different. For example, no matter how fast a push is, it can't match the speed of a fast sidespin underspin serve. Serves are typically low, while a pushed ball tends to have a higher arc and less forward momentum. Join as a member for early access to new videos and to unlock exclusive members-only shorts. Thank you for supporting the channel's growth.